FSSI is actually a result of solidarity initiatives of civil society organizations in Switzerland and in the Philippines. So they made loud noises to the government of Switzerland to convert the debts of the Philippine government into a development fund that can be used by the Philippines in environment protection and in growing the social enterprises. And so that's why FSSI was born, when were you born? 1995, I think. Okay, and then because of good governance and outstanding operational performance, the initial endowment fund of 400 million is now almost 1 billion pesos. Okay, let's give a big hand to FSSI. So perhaps as ASEC, we can use the same model, you know, in raising money to support our SSE activities and also social enterprises. But for that thing to happen, we need to invite more CSOs in our fold, especially in countries where Philippines has borrowings. Okay, so for example, if Philippines has borrowings in Japan, so we can, you know, make loud noises in Japan, and then, you know, the CSOs in the Philippines can also do the same thing. And then we'll twist the arm of the government, you know, to cancel some of the debts, because those debts, you know, are really earning high interest rates. Okay. So I'd like to focus on Jay's pathways to prosperity. He said it's pathways out of poverty, but to me, I'd like to call it pathways to prosperity. Okay, so in the RUP, we have the government policies, and that is very, very important because we have to have laws that will allow the SSEs to flourish and grow. Okay, and then the pillars are human capital development. We have the other pillar, voice in the government, meaning we have to have voice in the government. The government should listen to us, and the government should seek, you know, our recommendations and our you know, suggestions in terms of what laws that we need to put in place so that our, you know, social enterprises or solidarity economy enterprises will grow. And then there's also another pillar there, that's micro MSMEs, okay? You know, in 2012, I'd like to talk about APPEND. In 2012, because we were an apolitical organization, we don't like to be, you know, to be part of the government. In the Philippines, we define NGO as no government is okay. That's what no government is okay. That's what NGO is all about, no? But you know, when we always define NGO that way, the government is actually running after the work of the microfinance NGOs. And so many of our microfinance NGOs have tax cases this time. They look at us as not for-profit organizations, but they look at us as for-profit organizations, even if you know, nothing, you know, goes to the board of trustees as compensation. And so we said we cannot anymore run after several congressmen and senators. We really have to be inside the legislative body of the government. And so we ran in 2013. We were a political organization. We ran by faith. We didn't have any experience in the campaign. And we also didn't have money. But we ran, and then, you know, God allowed us to win. So we have a seat now in Congress, one seat in Congress representing the micro enterprise sector and the microfinance organizations. And by God's grace, the bill that was stalled for many years in Congress, which is the Microfinance NGOs Act, will now be signed by the President of the Philippines, God willing, within this month, you know. This is a bill that protects the operations of the microfinance NGOs, and that will also allow the micro entrepreneurs to grow from being micro to become small, and later medium-scale entrepreneurs. So it only took us almost 3 years for that bill to be passed into law. It already passed the House and Senate. So if the President will not sign it, there is a law that if he does not sign it within 30 days, it will become a law. Okay? So that's an automatic thing. So God is good. So that's why for our SSE to really be mainstream in the economy, we really have to have loud voices inside the government, not outside. These protest rallies, sometimes, it does not, produce good results. You have to be inside there and then influence, other people who do not have experience working with the poor sector. Okay? So, and then we will also be, and part of the legislative agenda that we will be pushing is the poverty reduction through social entrepreneurship. Because right now, social enterprises, the definition is very foreign to our government. To them, the enterprises are categorized as for-profit and non-profit, There's no such thing as social enterprise. I think only UK government recognize social entrepreneurship. Am I right, Danny? Only UK has a law on social enterprises. So we were not, in FSSI was the one really funding our meetings, funding our transportation, going to the several congressmen. And but because that time, we were really focused on the Microfinance NGOs Act. And God willing, by 2016, we will really be pushing the present bill or the poverty reduction through social entrepreneurship. Okay, and then also we will be supporting all bills that protect the work of the cooperatives. Okay, because cooperatives, that's one of the best ways, to move out of poverty. Okay, so that's the one. Now, what is lacking to me, what is lacking in the building of J, is the foundation. I think we don't see any foundation there. Probably it's in the ground, But, this is a foundation that the building, if we look at the Philippines building, it's the building that, the foundation should be very, very strong. Now, to me, the foundation where every activity rests should be the foundation that is built on God's words. The foundation on love, truth, discipline, honesty, and beauty. Okay? Because if we don't have those values, everything that we do is futile. Everything that we do in the long run will become ineffective because God is not there. Remember, the destiny of all nations is in the hands of God. If we go against the laws of God, that nation will collapse. Okay? So I hope Jay will add, the foundation of our building. The foundation that is based on God's words. Okay? Now, Jay also mentioned that 77% of the rural poor, 77% of the poor are rural, are in rural areas, right? Now, we also, as APPEND, we did research on that, and I think tama po yun. You know why? Because of our, because of the comprehensive agrarian reform, which was not correctly implemented. Okay? So, believes that the long-standing inequalities in the agrarian sector are a matter that should be of urgent concern for the Philippine state. So addressing these inequalities must be pursued with principles of distributive justice, which holds for the way government allocates benefits. I'm reading this because this is from our lawyer. Okay, so he did research on the agrarian unrest that is happening and is still happening in the countryside. Okay, so there are actually specific points that we really want to push forward. And this is, the first point is the completion of land redistribution. The government must ensure the just, effective, and substantive completion of CARPER and the effective land transfer to farmer beneficiaries. 17th, promote women's equal rights to land ownership and push for the implementation of AO1 on gender equality. Review the current contract growing arrangements in Mindanao, revoke the SDOs in Visayas, and stop land use conversions in irrigated and irrigable lands in Luzon. Because if we're not going to do this, then our SSE will not fly, Kuya Ben. So we really have to solve the root cause of poverty, which is, the unequal distribution of land. Prohibit the entry of mining investments and operations in CARP areas. FSSI is very, very vocal about this. We are actually against mining. Okay? And then, fully provide integrated support services to new and existing agrarian reform beneficiaries. Immediately and decisively act and resolve flashpoint cases that have been pending and are highly irregular and anomalous. Reform and re-energize the bureaucracy as part of good governance. Remove all corrupt DAR officials. I think not only DAR officials, but remove all corrupt government officials. So that's it. That's it. My husband also said that to me. I was complaining because I was watching these police NGOs and everything, and I was telling my husband, I hope God will take them away, no? And then my husband said, then who will be left behind? Okay. So let's just pray, that all our officials will see the light. That they should dispense their activities, they should dispense their jobs in accordance to God's words. Truth, justice, love, discipline. Because if everything is there, then our country will be more beautiful. Maganda ang Pilipinas, and thank you so much.